seeing some errors with this. So you might be getting some material over this. X minus 4 equals 10. Let me tell you this much, because I saw a lot of answers that are 6. If X is 6 and I put it into the problem, is 6 minus 4 10? No. It's 2. So what does that tell you about 6? Is that your answer? No. We talked about inverse operations, how you want to do the opposite. So if I look at this problem, what is occurring in the problem is it's saying X take away 4. X minus 4 equals 10. What's the inverse operation of subtraction? Addition. And what you do to one side of the equal sign, you want to do to the other side of the equal sign. These are additive inverses, and what do you know about negative 4 and positive 4? They cancel out to give you just 0. So what you are left with on the left-hand side is X, and on the right-hand side you are left with 14. So X is equal to 14. Not 6, I would correct that if I were you. Did you have 6? I would correct it. You do the inverse operation. So if I look at the next problem, what are you doing to X in the problem? Adding 1/5. How do you get rid of it or move it over to the other side? You subtract 1/5. If you subtract 1/5 from one side, you have to do the same thing to the other side. Now the question comes into play on how do you add or subtract fractions. Give you 15 seconds with a partner. How do you add or subtract? Okay, it was answered. Milo, how do you add or subtract fractions? Very good. Common denominator. What is that common denominator? 10. So the first one remains as negative 1/10. But what does the second fraction become? I have to multiply by 2. So 1 times 2 is 2. They are both negative. What's negative 1/10 and negative 2/10? Negative 3/10. That's what you should have for an answer for part B. For problem number 3, yes, you have to have a common denominator to solve it. So do you want me to give you a chance to solve that again? All right, I will give you a minute or so. I will see if a minute's enough time for you to retry solving problem number 3. Okay, so if you solve the next problem, you want to subtract 1 and 1/4 from both sides. That's not going to give me much room. You sure you're okay, Jock? Sounds like a pretty bad cough. Okay, so subtract 1 and 1/4. What is the common denominator? Well, it's keeping them awake, so maybe. What's the common denominator? 8. So we have negative 5/8. And the next one becomes minus 1 and 2/8. Same sign, right? Both team negative. So what did you end up with for an answer? Yep, negative 1 and 7/8. Negative 1 and 7/8. Improper fractions. So the first one is an improper fraction. You take 7 times 3 is 21 plus 3 is 24. So you have 24 over 7 times, what's 3 times 16? Yep, 48. Very good. Plus 1 makes it 49/16. Now, I would recommend, instead of multiplying it and then trying to reduce the fraction you get after that, to reduce first. 7 goes into 49 how many times? 7 times. So that makes that a 7. What goes into 16 and 24? 8. 8 goes into 16 twice. 8 goes into 24 3 times. Now when you multiply fractions, you multiply the numerators together. 7 times 3 is 21, and you multiply the denominators together, which is 2. 10 and 1/2, or 21/2. Number 29, your answer better be negative. (29), the problem is 3 and 1/5 over -2 and 2/15. So you convert the numerator into an improper fraction. What is that as an improper fraction? 16/5. So we're going to have 16/5, and I'm going to show it as the division. The denominator, 15 times 2 is 30, plus 2 is 32/15. Now that's negative. Change flip, so we're going to keep the first fraction, change the sign to multiplication, and flip the second fraction. We said that a positive times a negative is a negative value. Now reduce first, it's going to make it easier. 5 goes into 15, how many times? 3 times. What goes into 16 and 32? 16, very good. 16 goes into 16 once, 16 goes into 32 twice. And your answer is -3/2. When I was pre-checking papers, I saw some +3/2. And then I mentioned with 27, please make sure on 27 that you don't look at that as a 3-dimensional piece of cheese. It's not a slice of cheese. All it is a figure with a triangle. Let me get rid of this right here, and it might make, that's your shape. There's your shape, and they say find the area of that shape. So to find the area of that shape, then we have to think about a rectangle. The rectangle is 25 by 8. How do you find the area of the rectangle? $25 times 8. What is 8/4? $2. So this would be 200. Then you also have to find the area of the triangle. And in that triangle, the height of your triangle is 10. How do you find the area of a triangle? Base times height divided by 2. What's the base of that triangle? Right here's the base of your triangle. What's the base? 25 times the height, which is 10, and then divide by 2. I don't know if you know what half of 250 is. If not, 2 goes into 10. 5 times, what's 5/4? 125. So we have the 200, which is the area of the rectangle, plus 125, which is the area of the triangle. The overall area is 325. What are your units? Centimeters, but we found area, so it needs to be squared. Is that all for questions? Okay, pass those forward.